Today's show should mark the last time we talk about Kenny Pickett for a while. It should be. We might have to track it, like in the office. Darryl, he had that sign that said, "This department has worked 0 days without a lost time accident." It's been X amount of days since we last talked Kenny Pickett on this show. I think we might need some type of sign or some type of graphic for that, which is crazy because Kenny Pickett is one of the only things we've talked about for the last 2 years as Steeler fans. It's been Kenny Pickett mania. Like, there's almost never an episode or a video that he's not brought up at least once, right? Anyway, a couple days ago, he did say his official farewell to the city of Pittsburgh. And what's sad about that is even his goodbye post was polarizing to Steeler fans. I think it's just another example of him getting overhated by this fan base. People were saying he didn't get the Instagram post or the farewell out fast enough. Why wasn't it posted the day that he was traded? Perhaps he just wanted to make sure the trade was official and all the paperwork and all that was cleared before he said his final goodbye to Pittsburgh and Steeler Nation. But anyway, here is what the Instagram post said. It says, "Thank you, Pittsburgh. I came to this city 7 years ago and my life changed forever. Grateful for all of the amazing people I was fortunate enough to cross paths with, and for all of those who supported me along the way. I made lifelong friendships and relationships that I will always cherish. Now I am honored and excited for the next opportunity in my career, being able to play for the team that helped me find my love for the game as a kid. Go Birds." So there you go. Nothing wrong with that outside of the "Go Birds" at the end. Everything was good about that message outside of him saying "Go Birds." He also did a press conference there yesterday with his new team, and it really wasn't that groundbreaking, wasn't that interesting. Now, he did talk about why he wanted to leave the Steelers and why it ended so abruptly here.
What's the best way to explain why you wanted a fresh start?
I just thought it was time. It just felt like it was time from the things that transpired, and wanted to get a chance to go somewhere else and continue to grow my career. And the fact that it's in Philly, the place that I grew up, found the love for the game here, with a great coaching staff, great players. I'm looking forward to meet all these guys in a couple of weeks when everyone gets back into town. But
there's some reports that after Steelers brought in Russell Wilson that you had handled it poorly. How you characterize the communication between you and the Steelers at that time? How the Russell Wilson addition went there and your arrival here?
Yeah, I think the communication, is what it is. It was behind closed doors. I'm confident in the way that I handled it. I handled it the way I should have handled it. I'm excited to be here. It worked out so well that Philly was the place I ended up landing in. So I think everything happens for a reason, and I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, it just wasn't the right fit anymore. It wasn't going to work here for both sides. Even though I think if, worst case for Kenny, if he would have stayed here and he would have lost the job to Russ, I still think that would have been better than being the backup for Philly because, one, at least we were going to give him a chance to compete this offseason, and you never know what could happen, whereas in Philly, Hurts is the starter. He's their franchise guy. You are already delegated solidly to the backup spot. There is no real competition. And then Hurts is much younger than Russ and is signed to the Eagles for much longer than Russ is signed here in Pittsburgh. So I don't know, man. Just on paper, just objectively, if you're looking at it from a business standpoint, if Kenny would have taken the emotions out of it or feeling disrespected, it might have been better for his career long term, or even just to get back to being a starter if he would have stayed here. And again, just this offseason, you would have had a chance to compete. Maybe you don't feel that way, but the Steelers said it many times. They were going to give the inside track to Russ. But you never know what could happen, man. Whenever there's competition, do you rise up? Would Russ have been a little rusty? Would Russ have shown some of his old age? Who knows? Who knows? But at least you would have had a chance. But I guess one of the things I did want to bring up, and one of the things I found most interesting from the Kenny Pickett interview yesterday was when he was asked about the refusing to be a backup story that happened week 17 whenever we went on the road against Seattle.
There were some reports that you refused to be an emergency quarterback toward the end of the year last season. Can you tell us what happened there?
Yeah, I think that goes back to a lot of the communication behind closed doors that, didn't go the way that I feel like they went, how it's getting released. There was a plan there for that game. It went down exactly the way it was planned to go down that entire week. I was coming off the ankle surgery, so it is what it is. And, like I've been saying, though, very happy to be here.
It's weird because he thoroughly denied it when, it was happening the week of. Remember, he had that mini press conference and wanted to refute all the reports and rumors that were out there. Said, this is an attack on my character. I would never do such a thing. But this answer sounded a little bit more like there was a possibility of it happening. But we don't got to deep dive into this or anything because at this point, who cares? Pickett's not in Pittsburgh anymore. The Steelers made the right decision at the time by sticking with Mason. And now we have Russell Wilson and Justin Fields here. So, yeah, I think it's a moot point. But before we close the book on Pickett completely, I got to close with one more thing. I know everyone says I'm a Pickett apologist. I'm just a Pitt guy. I'm blinded. I'm delusional in thinking that Pickett could have been the guy here or that I think he still can be a good quarterback. Fine. But don't take it from me. How about you listen to what Charlie Batch has to say about the whole Kenny Pickett situation? C-Batch says, absolutely do think he's a starting quarterback. And I've watched him in a lot of throws the last couple years throughout training camp, and he can make those throws. Unfortunately, he was paired with arguably the worst coordinator in the history of the National Football League. And when you pair that together, this is what we're reacting on. At the end of the day, with his play and other factors, Pickett did leave the door open. But I also think he still can be a good quarterback, like Batch says here. He showed the flashes. End of his rookie season after the bye. Won on that run. Almost made the playoffs. He was playing good ball. Flat out, good ball. The winning record, the fourth quarters, the game-winning drives, taking care of the ball. There are signs there. There is enough there, in my opinion, to say that, yeah, I think if he develops some other things, he could be a good quarterback in this league. It's just that he didn't get to develop fully here. And he's somewhat to blame for that because of injuries and just the overall inconsistent play that we got, particularly in his second season. But the Steelers also didn't fully do right by him either with Canada calling the plays. You saw what happened literally the first game after we fired Canada. But then Pickett got hurt the next game against Arizona. And now we're here. Pickett, he wanted out. With all this being said, I still think it was a good trade and a good move to get rid of Pickett at this point. Because Pickett wanted out. We granted the request. And now it's Steeler Nation, let's ride. We're rolling with Russ. Steeler Nation, let's ride. Let's get to this Justin Jefferson talk. Or let's just say big-time wide receiver trade talk. Because we know Mike Williams is visiting with the Steelers at some point this week. But Jerry Dulac, Steelers insider, went on the Rich Eisen show yesterday. And Eisen asked Dulac, what's going on with the Steelers? What's going to be popping off here? And Dulac says they're not done in free agency, and he wouldn't be surprised if a splash move was made, an even bigger splash move than signing a Mike Williams.
They are not standing pat, and that was a directive pretty much to Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin to don't be satisfied with 10-7. We need to do something, and they are doing something, and I don't think they're done.
Say they're not done. You mean bringing in a receiver named Mike Williams,
right?
Who they'll pay? Who they'll pay more than what the other Mike Williams wanted? Jerry, is that what you're saying?
Or bigger is all I will tell you, Rich, and we shall see. But that is another step that they are going to make, and like I said, it might not even be Mike Williams. It might be a bigger catch, if you will, no pun intended, than that. But If they traded Deontay Johnson once again, they don't want hostages, they want volunteers, and he was a disruptive influence, and they weren't going to tolerate it. And so, again, good for them. We'll see how it plays out, but good for them.
So not only is Justin Jefferson's name being thrown into the mix, but you got Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. Is there another name I'm missing? I know those are the top three. ESPN has been reporting on Justin Jefferson to the Steelers. I can't remember why Ayuk or Deebo Samuel are in the mix. Are the 49ers really looking to trade those guys? I know Ayuk, there's something with his contract coming up. He's going to be demanding a big salary, and I guess the Niners are going to try to move off of him before they got to give him a contract extension, maybe get something in return. Almost like a few years back before Deontay was looking for his extension. That's why people were mentioning him in trade rumors. I guess it's the same scenario at this point with the 49ers and Ayuk. Justin Jefferson, yeah, that'd be awesome, right? I wouldn't be opposed to getting Justin Jefferson. Now, what would the trade package be is the most interesting thing, because whenever the Bengals were linked to a Jefferson trade, 2 first-round picks and T. Higgins was the package being brought up. And was that even brought up by anyone outside of AB? Was this even was the Bengals-Vikings connection ever anything legitimate? I don't know if it was. It might have just been a ESPN report. But yeah, that's what's, I guess, sparking the minds of Steeler Nation right now, that it could be a possibility. You see a Photoshop being posted out by AB and his network out there. Man, I don't know. Because I don't really want to trade George Pickens and 2 first-round picks. That would be the equal trade package to what was being talked about with Higgins and the 2 first-round picks for the Bengals to get Jefferson. I want Pickens and Jefferson. Could we just do 3 first-round picks? The thing that sucks about getting Jefferson, though, too, is you're going to have to pay him so much money. Is he worth the money? Sure. He's the best receiver in the league right now. There's not even a question. You look at the stats. You look at his first 4 seasons. These first 4 seasons might be the best first 4 seasons a receiver's ever had in NFL history. I don't really want to give up Pickens, though, man. I think the Steelers would be better off as a team by sticking with Pickens and keeping those 2 first-round picks and drafting linemen. I think that would be better for us. Now, this year, that's a different story. I think it'd be better for us long-term, but I don't think we're going to be hurting if we go that approach this year. And, I think we'd be fine this year. It'd be arguable that we'd be better this year by keeping the first-round picks and keeping Pickens than trading it for Justin Jefferson, because we need linemen. I don't really like the free agent market for linemen right now and centers. We got to get a Jackson Powers-Johnson or a Zach Frazier, I think. But Justin Jefferson is that, he's the best receiver in the league. Yeah, he's better than Pickens right now. If you had to bet even over the next 3-4 years who's going to be the better receiver, it's going to be Justin Jefferson for sure. Where you're hoping Pickens develops into that. But I think we're going to be a run-heavy team with Arthur Smith going off the play-action stuff. Justin Jefferson was a high-volume catch guy out in Minnesota with, Kirk Cousins. They just fed Justin Jefferson. I don't know if Russ is really that style of play. He's like a chunk player. And that's what this offense is, too, with Arthur Smith. He's like, we're going to take some deep shots down the field, do some improvisation. Whereas Kirk, he's just feeding Justin Jefferson. Could Russ do that? Yeah, 100%. Could he just feed Justin Jefferson? Yeah, sure. Justin Jefferson isn't going to hurt the offense. I just wonder if it's worth bringing him in and paying him that amount of money and giving up a couple first-round picks and a George Pickens. Obviously, I'd be pumped about getting Justin Jefferson. That would be a weird trade, though. I would love to somehow get him and keep Pickens. If we could do that, I'd be all for it. I'd still have my concerns about that contract. Now, Cam Hayward's contract's going to be up after this year. And probably to afford Justin Jefferson for this season, we'd have to do some restructuring. Him, TJ Watt, even Minka's contract. Hey, that's the Rams' approach. I wouldn't be against it. Could we keep George Pickens, though? That's my main thing. Could we keep George Pickens and pair him with a Justin Jefferson? And I would say the same thing about a Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. I don't think it would even be a question, though, with Ayuk or Samuel that we wouldn't be giving up Pickens in that trade. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I would maybe argue, too, if you just want to go off projections, that Pickens is going to be the better receiver than Deebo or Ayuk for 2024. Pickens going into his third year with Russell Wilson back there. I think you could argue that. So why put Pickens in the trade and give up an extra pick? Because obviously it's not going to take as many picks to get an Ayuk or Samuel as it would a Justin Jefferson. But yeah, if you could add an Ayuk, that could be the definitive Deontay Johnson replacement. The better version of Deontay Johnson. But then, yeah, you got to pay him. What are you giving up for Ayuk? Yeah, I just give up a pick or two. That's it. But we'll see, man. These conversations aren't pie in the sky anymore with Omar Khan. It's actually worth talking about, worth considering. I think we're good where we're at. We got a nice plan, but yeah, if you're telling me we could get a Jefferson or another one of these top guys, a guy that's even better than a Mike Williams, sure. I'm sure Omar Khan will figure out a right trade package that doesn't screw us over. He's done it thus far in basically every deal he's made, right? Even the Deontay Johnson move, where in the moment I was questioning it a little bit. It still wasn't bad, and then as time's playing out here, it looks even better and better. Let me know your thoughts, though. Do you guys want Justin Jefferson? I know that answer is yes. Everyone wants Justin Jefferson. But what do you think a fair trade package would be for both sides? And then do you think it would be worth it for the Steelers to ultimately make that move and trading the assets to get Jefferson and then paying him? What do you think? What do you think? What would you be willing to give up to get Justin Jefferson? What would you be willing to give up to get a Brandon Ayuk? Or should we just sign a Mike Williams and not have to worry about giving up assets to get one of these other receivers? Yeah, because Mike Williams is an attractive option right now. Even though he's not as high up on the receiver tier as some of these other names I'm talking about. Like, you're signing a Mike Williams. You're not trading anything to get him. And he's a big body receiver. You could still get one of these shifty slot guys in the draft. The size you can't teach. So if you get Mike Williams for $10 million or less, you pair him with Pickens, you still got your draft picks to build out the O-line, draft a slot receiver at some point, have him compete with Calvin Austin and Van Jefferson. That might be the better approach for the team building and allocation of the cap space and everything. But we still have restructures to make, so maybe we could make an opening for a bigger name receiver. Let's wait and see, man. Let's wait and see. But let me know your thoughts on the wide receiver trade stuff. Anything about Kenny Pickett you want to get off your chest, throw that in the comments too. Stay chilling, and peace.